Hi, everybody. This is Don Hahn, and we're back for part 2 of our tour of the Walt Disney Studios Animation Research Library. This is a spectacular place that no one's allowed into, with more than 60 million pieces of artwork that chronicles the legacy of Walt Disney Animation Studios for the past 100 years of the Walt Disney Company, which we are celebrating this year. Please enjoy this. If you haven't seen part 1, please check it out. There's a link to it in the comments below. If you have seen part 1, you are all ready for the most amazing finish in film history. Or something. Let's go. Tamara. What was that? That was my entrance. How are you?
Hi, Don.
I haven't seen you in ages.
I know, it's been a long time.
You work on a lot of variety here in putting together displays and exhibits and all kinds of things.
I think a lot of it is, how do we get this beautiful artwork that we have in our vast collection out into the public where they can enjoy it, be inspired by it? Certainly there is an educational element with the museum, the exhibition program that we have, but really it's about letting people see behind the scenes, because that's not something that you would see in the final film.
So what are you doing today? What's out on the table? What's up?
There's going to be a makeup line that we are working on with Disney Color. I've got a swatch book, and they want to take some of our characters. Yes, it's an eyeshadow palette. So I have some swatches that we are using to match the cell to the colors in the palette. And they also are doing one for Jungle Book and one for Dumbo. One of the things that we have a sample that we happen to have out is a model from one of our exhibitions that we did a while ago. Yeah, and actually Patrick worked on this. Hey Patrick, we're gonna call you over. Do you want to talk a little bit about the model that we made for a project? This was actually a number of years ago.
Sure, so we made this for Shanghai.
Yeah, we had it in a couple locations in China, but the models are perfect because they help us see how the linear feet, the run of all of our artwork, and we get a chance to test out wall colors where it's cheap and easy.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the models, like you always see Walt Disney with a model of Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that.
Yes.
And it's so
But
wonderful.
it really does in one, more than just, obviously we work a lot with blueprints and elevation and plan view, but to actually see something dimensionally where we can take a camera through to see what the guest experience would look like. And how the angle of sort of the introductory plaques and whatnot. So when we make our changes, it's easy and cheap on paper that we can just tape over and then make those.
You know, you don't think about that often, like easy and cheap is a big part of the Disney culture also. And was when we were making the movies. It was like the mantra we had, just even during movies like Beauty and the Beast, it was bigger, better, faster, cheaper. And so it was like, you do the best quality you can, but there's still parameters. But it's part of any business culture, and it's show business. And that's part of what you guys do too, because you're setting up exhibitions, it seems, around the world.
Yeah, we have one opening up in Australia in a month. The one that's traveling around Europe that's currently in Italy is the art of storytelling. And we have based it off a lot of the books that Walt had purchased and had made into films.
Oh, when he went to Europe in 1935, and he brought back a boatload of books.
Boatload, literally. Brought it on the boat.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you had an exhibit recently at the Metropolitan Museum.
Yes, and after it opened at the Met, it traveled to the Wallace in London, and it just opened up in December 2022 at the Huntington Library in Pasadena, California.
You're communicating a lot of Disney to the world. What does Disney mean to you?
For me, I think this place is a place of wonderment and magic. And I think it comes across even for people that work here. And I think when I go out into the world and I see things that are going on, to be able to be part of a company whose mission is to visualize a better tomorrow for all generations. And that's one of the things. Walt did not make this company just for children. He was very clear that his mission was really to create a place where people could not just escape to, but really enjoy.
Yes.
And I think that's what it is it really does. It feels so trite, but it really does come down to that sense of magic and wonderment.
I'll let you get back to work, and I'll keep wandering around.
Sounds good. Go find my coworkers.
Okay, it's
Great
so
to
good
see
seeing
you.
you. Okay.
Take care.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Hello.
My favorite one.
Like,
Hey,
this looks like the gift wrap department at Make Company or something. What are these?
These are mock-ups, and this is a hero example of one, but this was for an installation where the tangled lanterns, where it's like an immersive experience where you enter a room and all of the tangled lanterns at different heights kind of glowing and reflect around the walls.
This was in an exhibit in Japan.
Any way we can get, especially like young people, to really fall in love with animation in a place that meets them. Like,
I see.
You know, they experience animation, especially like classic, really old animation to them.
Yeah.
But you know, they can experience it in a new way and fall in love with not only the animation, but maybe the process of animation, of like how it's made, and like using projections on, like we've projected onto like an old animation table to kind of bring, you know, the drawings to life in real time, and just ways to sort of demonstrate.
Wow. Thanks, guys. Hi, Matt.
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'll give you an
elbow bump. Thank you. I don't want to touch your anything.
Working, so.
Thank you. Yes. What are you doing here?
Yeah. So this is where we actually digitize the art.
How do you scan these so that the artist can pull up a file and get their nose into it and really feel like they can take a close look at it?
Yeah. So we're shooting everything at a super high resolution. We're shooting everything at 600 pixels per inch. By photographing it digitally at a very high resolution, we have the ability to go into something like Photoshop, zoom into 100%, and then you can actually see a lot of the stuff that is probably not visible to the naked eye. You can see that we put a ruler in every one of these, so the artist has the ability to figure out how big or small something is. Because, right, you could look at this and think that it's 2 inches. You could also think that it's 25 inches. And so according to this ruler, we're like, that's a 5-inch ruler. So this is probably like a 12-field piece of paper, so like 12 by 10. But from there, you can just click into it. And then now,
oh my gosh,
you have the ability to just look around. And so you can see like there's a lot of ink in this. Looks like maybe some marker.
Because this is a 60-year-old piece of art, so you couldn't really go to the shelf and pull it off, unless you were like restoring it or something.
Yeah.
But if I'm sitting at my desk and painting backgrounds and I want to know if this is gouache or felt marker or something, I can do what you just did and say, well, it's felt marker, because you can clearly see that the marks that Ken Anderson made when he did this were from a felt marker. What about animation? You like, it's beautiful at the resolution you have here, but what do you do when you have a stack of drawings? Do you look at them just one at a time and kind of imagine what it would look like, or can you actually move them? Or
yeah, well, so it's interesting because whenever I start with a stack of animation, sometimes I have no clue what I'm photographing. So this is from Fantasia. The artwork itself isn't necessarily like timed, and it's not composited either. These are basically just each individual photograph of a piece of art, and then we just basically put it on a player, and it's running at 12 frames per second.
Wow, that is breathtaking to see it though, because that's what the animators would have seen. That's what Walt Disney would have looked at, exactly this, which is a pencil test on, at the time, a piece of film, but it was a way to judge the animation before it went to color.
Yeah, and I think so right now you're looking at about 380 drawings.
Wow.
For this particular scene. And then if like an artist, again, wanted more information about it, they can stop this and then they can actually click frame by frame, give them a better idea of sort of kind of like how much actually needs to be drawn frame to frame. And so they can see how much movement we need to make it in order to actually get it sort of kind of.
You know, that's no wonder that people call this place the secret weapon at Disney, because you can study this stuff. It is a art school every day of the week here.
Right. And so this is Cinderella. So this is the dress transformation that you guys probably talked about earlier.
Fox just showed us the boxes of animation where that's stored. That, you know, Walt Disney's favorite scene, and there it is. Oh man!
And once again, the effects would have been drawn on one piece of paper.
Yeah.
Cinderella would have been drawn on a separate piece of paper.
You know, I've worked in it all my life, and it's still mind-boggling. I look at this stuff and I go, how can like people do this?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, like I said, I had a fine art degree, but I wouldn't consider myself like anyone that could draw exceptionally well.
Yeah.
And so like even photographing something like Lady and the Tramp, where it's just animals. But then you think about it, and for the most part, it's artists drawing dogs that move and talk, but they were also figuring it out at the same time.
We were dumb enough to not know that we couldn't do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so you just forge in going, we'll figure out a way to do that. And that's where you get Cinderella and her gown, or the ballroom scene in Beauty and the Beast, or something that is fresh and interesting and amazing visually. That's what's cool about this place as a studio and a group of artists, and a aesthetic that always has been part of the studio.
But I do remember first coming in and holding Snow White in my hands and just going, oh, this is like a big deal. This is like the beginning of a company that people around the world know. But I still get those moments where like something will come in and you'll just sit there and look at it for 10 minutes before you photograph it, because it's either the artistic style is so interesting, or just the way in which they decided to pick a scene. And a lot of times, sometimes it's even like the realism or even like the fantasy side of it.
Yeah.
Where you just take a few minutes and just appreciate what you're actually getting to photograph.
I get it. We're lucky people, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Matt, you've been amazing. Thank you for sharing what you do. I'll come back unannounced many times.
Okay. Yeah, love to have you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
So Mary, I'm like stunned.
In a good way,
in
right?
a good way. No, I mean, I'd lived most of my life stunned, but we've walked around here and seen not only some great artwork, but heard from some brilliant people who keep it all alive and do all this work for, not only for the company, but for the kind of mythology of Disney and the storytelling and all that stuff. What's it like for you working with these people every day?
It's amazing, right? Because Walt said it takes the people to make all this happen.
Yeah,
and that's exactly it. And for me, I kind of equate this to the creation of an animated film. It's collaboration of all kinds of artists across disciplines with one vision in mind to get to that goal. That's what we do here. We are the caretakers of that art afterwards, but we want to ensure everything is in a safe place and it's in better shape than it was than when we found it, so the next generation of archivists will inherit that and carry that legacy on. But also doing it for the artists who are here today, because without this place, the level of inspiration that they have wouldn't exist. And I could argue, would Frozen have been as fabulous as it was if they didn't have the Cinderella dress transformation scene to go back to and look at that artwork?
Yeah, exactly.
And they came and they visited and they looked and they saw.
Thank you so much for your
my
time
pleasure.
and letting me wander the halls, and I'll sneak back in whenever I can.
Yes, please. Okay.
Take care of yourself.
Bye, Dawn. You too. Oh, it's good to have you.
Thanks. It's good to see you. I'll be just out taking a nap in my car.
Okay. Drive carefully.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.